Hey, Earl here. Your house is worth more than most people's 401k. For a lot of working folks, it's worth more than 2 or 3 401ks. There's a couple $100,000 sitting inside the walls of your home, and most people walk past it every day on their way out the door, thinking the only way to access that money is to die and leave it to the kids. That ain't the only way. There's at least 5 ways, and every single one of them is something your financial advisor probably hasn't mentioned, because most financial advisors don't make commission off your house. They make commissions off your investments. So they talk about your investments. I'm talking about your house today. Doesn't matter if your house is paid off, almost paid off, or just sitting on a chunk of equity from all them years of paying down the mortgage. If you've got equity, you've got options. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know 5 of them. We covered the $1 million retirement lie in another video. The basic idea was that the financial industry sold working people on this idea that you need $1 million to retire, and that ain't true. What's true is that you need enough monthly income to cover your expenses, and a house, depending on how you use it, can produce monthly income / monthly expenses, or both. We also did the secret menu video about all the ways to retire 10 years early on a normal paycheck. House equity is the biggest item on that secret menu that nobody talks about. Let me introduce you to 5 people. Hoyt's 60 years old. He worked 38 years at an auto parts plant outside of Akron, Ohio. His wife, Faye, worked at a doctor's office for 26 years as a receptionist. They paid off their 3-bedroom ranch in 2019, and right now that house is worth $385,000. They've got $140,000 in 401s between them. Social Security at 67 will run them about $3,400 a month combined. Hoyt's problem is the same problem a lot of working folks have. He's house rich and cash poor. He's got a $400,000 asset, and he's counting coupons at the grocery store. The house is wonderful. The taxes on the house are not. The heat bill on the house in February is not. The roof he replaced 2 years ago for $14,000 was not. So Hoyt and Faye made a decision. They sold the Akron house for $378,000 after closing costs and the realtor's cut. Then they drove 400 miles south and bought a brick rancher in a small town in East Tennessee for $162,000. 3 bedrooms, a porch, a little yard, 20 minutes from a Walmart, and an urgent care. That's $216,000 they pulled out of their walls without taking out a loan. They put $170,000 of it in a boring index fund and kept $46,000 in cash for emergencies and the move. Their property taxes dropped from $4,200 a year to $900. Their homeowner's insurance went from $2,300 to $800. Their heat bill ain't a heat bill no more, it's a heat and AC bill. And the whole thing runs about 1/3 of what they were paying in Ohio. That's geographic arbitrage. Sell high, buy low, pocket the difference. The math is what financial people would call boring, which means it works. Now let me tell you about Marge. Marge is 62. She lost her husband Wally to a heart attack 3 winters ago. He was 58 and he was tired, and the heart attack came on a Tuesday morning, before he'd finished his 2nd cup of coffee. Marge worked 31 years as a postal carrier. She retired this spring after Wally died because she couldn't stomach going back to work and coming home to a quiet house. Marge owns her house free and clear. It's a 4-bedroom Cape Cod in the suburb where her and Wally raised 3 kids. It's worth $290,000. The kids are grown and gone. Marge sleeps in 1 bedroom and uses 1 bathroom, and looks at the other 3 bedrooms only when she's dusting. She lives on her pension and a little bit of Wally's Social Security. Money's tight, but she gets by. Then Marge's neighbor, Audrey, told her about something her son did up in Pittsburgh. He rented out his whole house and moved into an apartment, made money on the difference every single month. So Marge started doing math at the kitchen table. Her 4-bedroom Cape Cod, in good shape, in a decent school district, rents for $2,200 a month. That's a real number from the real rental listings 2 streets over. There's a senior apartment community across town, ground floor units, 1 bedroom, $900 a month, Utilities included. Walk to a grocery store. 3 other widows on the same haul. Marge ran the numbers. $2,200 a month coming in, $900 a month going out for the apartment, leaves $1,300 a month she didn't have before. $16,000 a year. On top of her pension and Wally's Social Security, that $1,300 is the difference between counting in coupons and not counting coupons. And here's the part most people miss. Marge still owns the house. She didn't sell it. The asset is still hers. It's still appreciating. If she ever needs to move into assisted living or something goes wrong, she can sell that house and have $290,000 in her pocket the next month. In the meantime, the renters are paying the property taxes, the insurance, and any major repairs through their lease agreement. The house pays for itself and pays Marge on top of that. That's strategy number 2. Rent the house, move into something smaller. Your equity stays where it is, your monthly income goes up, and your living costs go down. It works because 4-bedroom houses in good school districts are valuable to families with kids, and senior apartments are valuable to people who don't want to mow grass anymore. 2 different markets, both real, both willing to pay. If you've been around the channel a while, you know I'd appreciate if you hit that like button right about now. It tells the algorithm that working folks want this kind of content, and it pushes the next video out to a few more people who need to hear it. 2 seconds of work by pushing 1 button. We'll wait. Alright, let me tell you about Buck. Buck's 58. He's been divorced for 11 years, and his kids are grown. He works as a maintenance supervisor at a community college in his town, makes $52,000 a year, and he wants out. Not retired, but out of the day job. He'd like to wake up when his body wakes up and not when the alarm makes him. Buck owns a 3-bedroom house with a detached 2-car garage. The garage hasn't held a car in 15 years. It holds a workbench, a riding mower, and what Buck calls the boxes from his marriage, which he hasn't gone through in over a decade, because every time he opens one, he ends up sitting on the floor for an hour, thinking about things. His brother-in-law came over for a beer last summer and said something Buck had never thought about. He said, "You know that garage could be a 1-bedroom apartment, right?" Buck spent a year and $28,000 converting the garage into a separate rental unit. Insulated it, framed in a wall, put in a small bathroom, a kitchenette, a heat pump, and its own electric meter. It's 620 square feet. He rents it for $950 a month to a community college instructor who couldn't find anything decent under $1,200 in town. That's $11,400 a year in rental income. After, he paid back his $28,000 in renovation costs, which took about 2.5 years of rent payments. The unit became pure profit. He started dropping to part-time at the college, then to 2 days a week. Then, this past September, he gave the college his retirement notice. He'll be 59 when he walks out. That $950 a month, combined with the small pension from the college and a little bit of 401k money. He's pulling through other strategies, covers Buck's bills. He's house hacking his way to early retirement. And the part that nobody mentions is that he never had to sell the house, never had to leave the property, and never had to give up the garden out back. He just turned dead space into income. You don't even need a detached garage to make this work. A walkout basement does it. An in-law suite does it. A spare bedroom rented to a college kid or a traveling nurse does it. There's an entire generation of older homeowners sitting on extra rooms they don't use, while down the street, there's young people paying $1,400 a month for studio apartments that smell like the cigarettes the last tenant smoked. The market wants what you've got. You just have to be willing to share the driveway. Now let me tell you about Clyde. Clyde's 53. He's a maintenance electrician at a glass plant, and he's planning to walk out at 56. He's run the math. He's got about $310,000 in his 401k, and he's got the rule of 55 in his pocket because he'll be over 55 when he leaves his current employer. So accessing the 401k penalty-free ain't his problem. His problem is the years between 56 and 59 and a half, and the years between 56 and his pension kicking in at 60, and the years between 56 and Social Security at 67. The 401k can carry some of it. But pulling too much too early means he's draining his pile before it has time to recover. He needs another source of money for unexpected stuff. The roof, the car, the medical thing that always comes up. Clyde's house is paid off. It's worth $240,000. He's got $90,000 in equity, above and beyond the standard cushion. So, at 53, 3 years before he plans to walk out, he applied for a home equity line of credit. The bank approved him for $120,000 at a low interest rate because at 53, he still has W-2 income, a perfect credit score, and 20 years of pay stubs from the same employer. Now, here's the thing about a home equity line of credit. You don't have to use it, you just have to have it. Clyde got the line approved, signed the paperwork, and put the documents in the safe in his closet. He hasn't drawn a single dollar against it, but it's sitting there. $120,000 of liquid backup, available within 48 hours, anytime he needs it for the next 10 years. The reason this matters is that you cannot get a HELOC after you retire, or, at least, you have a much harder time of it. Banks want to see income. Real income, the kind on a W-2. Social Security counts a little. Pensions count some. 401k withdrawals barely count at all. Clyde knew this, so he got the line of credit while he was still pulling a paycheck. 3 years from now, when he's officially retired and the bank wouldn't lend him a dime, he'll still have that $120,000 sitting there, ready to go. This is what financial people call a bridge tool. You set it up early, you don't touch it most years, but when something goes wrong and you don't want to pull 20 grand out of your 401k during a bad market year, you tap the HELOC instead. Pay it back when the market recovers. Don't pay interest on money you ain't using. The line of credit is free to maintain once it's set up. Strategy number 4, set up the equity line before you retire, while you've got a job, while the bank loves you. Don't wait till you actually need the money. By then, the bank ain't returning your calls. Now let me tell you about Audrey. Audrey's 62. She lost her husband Sully 2 years ago. Sully was a plumber his whole working life, then got cancer and was gone in 7 months. Audrey was a daycare aide at a church preschool for 28 years before she retired. Her Social Security check is $1,650 a month. The pension from the school district adds another $400. Her house is paid off and worth $290,000, and her checking account has about $4,000 in it on a good day. Audrey's house rich and cash poor in the most literal way I can describe it. She can't sell because she's lived there 41 years, and her kids and grandkids visit, and the neighbors check on her. She can't rent the spare rooms because, frankly, she don't want strangers in her house at her age. Geographic arbitrage ain't on the table because Sully is buried at the cemetery 3 miles away, and she's not moving. So Audrey did something that gets a bad name on daytime television. She got a reverse mortgage, but not the kind you've heard about. Not the lump sum version where they hand you a check for $100 grand and you spend it on a cruise and then have nothing. She got the line of credit version of a reverse mortgage. The technical name is a HECM, which stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage. The IRS calls it that. Everybody else calls it a reverse mortgage line of credit. Here's how it works. Audrey's 62, she owns her house free and clear, and she opened up a HECM line of credit for $92,000. She has not pulled a single dollar against it. But here's the strange and beautiful thing. The available credit on a HECM grows over time. It compounds at roughly the same rate as the interest. So in 10 years, Audrey's $92,000 line of credit will have grown to somewhere around $140,000, even if she hasn't touched it. The thing the late night TV ads don't tell you is that the reverse mortgage line of credit, used right, is one of the most powerful financial tools available to a retired homeowner. You don't owe a payment unless you draw against it. You can never owe more than the house is worth. You don't lose the house. If you die without using the line, your kids inherit the house, sell it, pay off whatever you used, and keep the rest. It's not a scam. The way it's marketed is a scam. The The product itself is a tool. Audrey uses her HECM line of credit like Clyde uses his HELOC. It sits there. If her furnace dies in February, she'll draw $3,000 and have it fixed by Friday. If she needs a new roof in 5 years, the credit will be there, and probably bigger than it is today. She's still in her own kitchen at 83, not in a nursing home because the AC broke and she couldn't pay to fix it. Strategy number 5. If you're over 62 and your house is paid off, the reverse mortgage line of credit is the most misunderstood financial product in America. Used right, it's the safety net under the safety net. Used wrong, it's a way to lose your house and your dignity at the same time. The difference is the line of credit version versus the lump sum version, and not signing anything until you've talked to 2 different counselors and a financial planner who has no commission riding on the answer. Now, before I let you go, I gotta cover 3 mistakes that wreck people who try to unlock their house equity. Listen close. First mistake, trying to set up a HELOC after you retire. I already mentioned Clyde got his line of credit at 53 while he still had a W-2. The reason that matters is that banks have gotten real strict about loaning against your house when you don't have a paycheck coming in. Social Security and pension income do not impress a loan officer the same way $2,000 every other Friday from the same employer does. If you're planning to retire in the next 5 years and you've got real equity in your house, get the HELOC now, while they still want your business. It costs almost nothing to maintain a line of credit you don't use. It costs a fortune to need one you don't have. Second mistake, Geographic arbitrage without doing the homework. Hoyt and Faye did this right. They spent 2 long weekends in East Tennessee before they bought anything. They drove the town. They went to the grocery store. They went to the urgent care. They asked the realtor about tax rates and insurance and what the high school football team was called. People who skip that part end up selling their $385 Ohio house, buying some place sight unseen on a website, and discovering 3 months in that the nearest hospital is 40 miles down a 2-lane road, and there's no decent doctor taking new patients. Then they sell that house at a loss and move back to Ohio at 63, and the math is wrecked. Go visit before you commit, more than once. Third mistake, mixing up reverse mortgages. The lump sum reverse mortgage is the one your aunt fell for after she saw it on cable news. They give you a check, you spend it on a kitchen renovation and a vacation, and now you owe interest on $100,000 for the rest of your life. The line of credit version, the HECM, works completely differently. It grows over time, you only owe what you actually borrow, and it's structured to protect you from foreclosure. If somebody offers you a reverse mortgage and the word lump sum comes out of their mouth, you stand up, you say thank you, and you walk out of that office. Don't even take the pen. One more thing, because I think it matters. Your house is also your home. Some of these strategies feel cold when you read them on paper. Selling the house your kids grew up in, renting your bedrooms to strangers, moving across the country to a town you don't know yet. None of that's easy. None of that is purely financial. There's grandkids and grandparents and graveyards and memory in those decisions, and the math is only one part of it. But here's the thing nobody says out loud. A lot of working folks spent 30 or 40 years paying down a mortgage, raising kids in that house, and now they're in their 60s, counting coupons and skipping the dentist while sitting on $300,000 of asset they refuse to touch. The house was supposed to be a tool for building a life. At some point, the tool gets to start paying you back. That ain't betrayal. That's why you bought the thing in the first place. We talked about the $1 million retirement lie in another video. For a lot of you watching right now, you don't need $1 million to retire because you already have most of what you need. It's just locked up in your walls. Hoyt and Faye unlocked theirs by moving. Marge unlocked hers by renting. Buck unlocked his by sharing. Clyde unlocked his by borrowing against it strategically. Audrey unlocked hers by opening a line of credit she may never even fully use. 5 different doors, 5 different keys, same house full of money. Here's your homework. Pull up your last property tax bill and look at the assessed value of your house. That number's usually a little low. Take it, add 15 or 20% for what it'd actually sell for, and subtract whatever you still owe on the mortgage. What's left is your equity. That's the money sitting in your walls right now. Then come down to the comments. Type unlock along with that equity number, rounded to the nearest 10,000. Could be 60 grand. Could be 300 grand. Whatever it is, put it out there. When you see somebody else's number, give them a thumbs up. You ain't bragging. You're just saying, here's what I'm sitting on, and now I'm trying to figure out which of the 5 doors I want to walk through. Subscribe if this is the kind of straight talk that helps. No hype. No crypto. No just make 6 figures nonsense. Real math for real people. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.